just quickly before this video starts, first of all, sorry, I think you can probably hear the washing machine, but I need to record this little bit now. That noise, if you can hear it right now, it won't be there for the rest of the video. I need to clarify, I did not realize how many times I mentioned the fact that I watched a lot of these movies while very, very drunk. I have social anxiety. I'm very much an introvert. I don't like leaving the house ever, but especially not to like party or get drunk or whatever. I should also quickly clarify I'm 20 and I live in Ireland, so totally fine. You know, I've been drinking since I was 18. I only ever get drunk when I'm watching movies with my parents. That's like what we do. We get drunk and we watch movies together. So that's why I mentioned many times throughout this video that I was drunk when I watched some of these movies, or rewatched some of these movies or whatever. I didn't realize how often I say that throughout this video until editing, but that's just a little, to clarify. I don't know, watching movies is just more fun when you're drunk, but anyway, that's the context for that, because I didn't realize how often I do it and also mention it. Hello everyone, my name is Ethan, and today we are going to be, I am going to be showing you my top 25 movies of all time. Obviously my opinions are not, whatever. I'm aware that some of these are genuinely just objectively bad movies. I know that, I acknowledge that, and I'm not pretentious when it comes to horror movies, because I like horror, sorry. There are a few horror on this. I was staring at one, that's why I said horror, in movies in general. I do have a lot of opinions, and I like some movies because of the way they were directed, or because of certain scenes, the way they were shot, stuff like that. But there's a difference between movies that inspire me and movies that I genuinely just enjoy watching. There's a few movies on this list that are like inspirations for me as someone who wants to make a film one day, but mainly this is just stuff that I liked. Before we do the movies, I just want to also quickly mention a few, my top 5 TV shows. I will maybe one day do an in-depth, I have not seen 25 TV shows in my lifetime, so I would not be able to do a top 25, but maybe I would go in depth of these 5. But my top 5 TV shows are Yellow Jackets, BoJack Horseman, Our Flag Means Death, Game of Thrones, and Fargo, in that order. Yeah, I don't know, maybe one day I'd talk about all of them. I'm definitely still planning on doing a Game of Thrones video at some point, because I've got opinions on Game of Thrones. And same with Our Flag Means Death, but the opinions are, well, one of them's very negative and one of them's very positive. And I don't know how well a negative video would go down, or how well I could do a negative video, I don't know. So the first 6 movies that we're going to talk about real quick are horror movies. The 5th and 6th one aren't really horror movies, but I'm doing them now because they're scary, I guess, relatively scary. Just to get them out of the way so you can skip ahead if you don't want to see the trailers, I guess, because I'm going to be showing some of the trailer in the background. So this is not in order of how much I like them or anything. I will tell you which movie is my favorite of all time once we get there, but it's in this order of just, I've grouped them together and I've put the horror movies first so that you can skip them, and that's the only order that they're in. Okay, so number 1 is The Ritual, which is very much a horror movie, directed by David Bruckner. A trip to the Swedish wilderness turns murky as 4 friends try to mend their strained relationships. However, in the forest, they realize they are not alone. I don't really like horror movies all that much, but there is something about this movie. It is just so good. I really like horror movies set in the woods, but I like comedy horror movies, but I don't typically like fully horror because this is just straight horror. Every other one on this list, I enjoy it for reasons other than the horror. This one, it's just the horror. I mean, it's a good story as well. I really like the story, but I genuinely, so I don't watch horror movies. I watched this like 4 years ago, maybe, at a friend's house at a sleepover. I was like 16, and oh my god, I was crying. I started crying, and honestly, what's funny is that the thing that made me cry had nothing to do with the actual creature. It was just, there's one scene where someone is up in the attic of the cabin they found, and he's kneeling down in front of a straw, like, person shape. It's not a real person or anything. It just made me cry. I was so scared, I don't know why. It was just such good vibes, and the creature design is genuinely horrifying. It's a real in quotations. It's can't remember what it's called. It's like a Jotun or something like that. It's one of the children of Loki. It's Norse mythology. I just really like it, and I do actually really enjoy the story. It's good. It's I will say, you're not gonna like any of the characters in this movie. They all kind of suck. But it's a good movie. It's scary. I watched it once, and I have never been brave enough to rewatch it. But one day I will, because this movie, like, genuinely, I would want to make a horror movie because of this movie. And the gore, it's not necessarily the gore, it's mainly how some people die, or mainly how they find the dead bodies. Oh, you know what? I did just say that I've only seen it once, and that's true. Because now, looking at that stray figure that made me cry, it is actually in the shape of the head of the monster. So, the head of the monster is kind of like, I'm not gonna be able to show it on camera. It's like two human torsos were stuck together so that the arms were either side, so it kind of looked like a bug or something. It's vertical, so one pair of the arms are up above and they form into antlers. They get really long, they form into antlers, and it's got like a neck stub, but it's got no head. Then the other arms are hanging down, kind of like mandibles or like little bitey bits on like a bug. And then it's got just eyes. You can't even see its face. It's like, instead of a neck stub, like at the top bit, there's an indent where the neck should be, and the eyes are coming through there. Honestly, probably the description I just gave was more graphic than the actual picture I could have shown, but it's just such good atmospheric horror as well, because watching it, there's so many instances of the thing, it's only one thing, being in the background. I actually really like the ending. I also think it's maybe an allegory for mental health or guilt or grief or something. But it's a good movie. It's really good. I'd highly recommend it if you're in any way interested in horror. Number 2 on the list is The Cabin in the Woods, which is very much a horror comedy. It's good. It's really good. It was directed by Drew Goddard. And the description: 5 college friends head out to a remote cabin for a getaway, but things don't go as planned when they start getting killed. They soon discover that there is more to the cabin than it seems. This movie is so good. It's really funny. That's the main thing I love about it. But I love how it's a commentary on horror as a genre. I can't really explain much without spoiling stuff, I guess. But I really can't say much without spoiling things, because the whole thing, there's a big old twist in it that you would never in a million years see coming. Although, except one scene, which sucks, but you would never see it coming. And the mystery of trying to figure out what what's going on is so good that I don't even want to tell you why I love this movie so much, because it would spoil a lot. I will say that I don't find this movie scary at all. There's like 1 or 2 jump scares, and that's about it. But it is still a horror comedy, so, well, I'm seeing now it's listed as horror mystery, but I think it's very funny, so I don't know. It's got a pretty good cast as well. Chris Hemsworth, Kristen Connolly, a few other people. Sigourney Weaver's, I forgot about that. Weaver, I've just realized her name is Weaver, not Weavers. Yeah, Sigourney Weaver is in it. She's great. Yeah, it's just a good movie, and I would tell you more, but I would say watch it for yourself. It's really good. Number 3 on the list is one of the newer movies. It's not even the newest, actually. There's one that came out last week on this list, which is still kind of shocking to me. But it's one of the newer. And it is, of course, Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. Of course, Jordan Peele. I don't think we love Jordan Peele as a person. Pretty sure he's a Zionist, but we love his movies. I actually have never seen Get Out or Us. Get Out, I plan to watch. Us, I will not touch with a 10-foot pole. Home Invasion, I cannot do. It's too much for me. But Nope. Yeah, directed by Jordan Peele, of course. A man and his sister discover something sinister in the skies above their California horse ranch, while the owner of a nearby theme park tries to profit from the mysterious otherworldly phenomenon. I rewatched this recently. It's so good. Again, I wouldn't really say this movie's scary, but it is still... Oh, actually, there was this one scene. There's this one scene, I'm pretty sure it's in the trailer. It's a group of kids pranking them, dressed up as aliens, inside the stables, and they keep popping out, and it was so scary. What happened? I was watching it with my parents for the first time. My dad was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. My mom started swearing just a lot, and I started gagging. So it was scary. We all got like visual or verbal reactions out of that bit. But honestly, other than that, the rest of the movie is not really scary. It's just really good. It's just a really good movie. The characters are all amazing, every single one of them. All 4 of who I would say are the main characters. Can't remember their names, I'm sorry. But the brother and the sister, and then Angel and the other guy, the film camera guy. They're all really great, compelling characters. I would genuinely say they're some of the most compelling characters in any movie I've ever seen. Even in just one movie, you get who they are, and who they are is very interesting. And obviously, the creature design is absolutely amazing. Just a really good movie. Next, we have Signs, directed by, oh my god, what? Directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I didn't know that. I also didn't know I haven't seen this movie in a few years. I didn't know it was Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, Signs. Graham Hess, along with his family, migrates to a farmhouse where crop circles begin to appear. At first, he ignores the signs, but is alarmed when alien activities are spotted around the world. This movie is scary, mainly in jump scares. Mainly in jump scares. I wouldn't really say it's scary, and I mean, atmospherically, it's pretty scary, yeah, but it's just a good movie. It's fun to watch. I don't even really have much to say about it, to be honest. It's just a fun watch. If you like aliens and you like horror, I would recommend it if you haven't already seen it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's really famous, so you probably have. But yeah, I just like it a lot. I think it's cool. That's about it, honestly. I just like I guess it is atmospheric. It's mainly jump scares, but it's just good. I don't really know what else to say. It's just a good movie. And number 5. Number 5, so this is the last horror movie, but again, I wouldn't really say this movie is scary. Lake Placid. Soon, a dysfunctional group of experts is called in to end the beast's reign of terror. This movie has changed my life. Unironically, I love this movie more than anything. It's my go-to comfort movie for about every reason. Betty White is in it, and she's absolutely amazing. She's hilarious in it, but genuinely, this is gonna sound stupid, but my favorite bit of the whole movie, if I had to pick a favorite bit, my favorite bit from the whole movie would be the friendship, the very unlikely friendship of the sheriff and I think he's a museum curator or something. They're both, well, he's insane. They're not both insane, only one of them is. It's just watching them go from despising each other to genuinely caring about each other more than the love interests the main characters do is so funny. And I don't think they meant to make it a little, a little gay-coded, but they did. And even ignoring that, just watching them become best friends is so funny. It's genuinely just, I love this movie so much. It's such a comfort movie, and it's a big crocodile. What else could you want? It genuinely, also the practical effects are pretty good. Is it practical effects? Actually, I don't know. Just the effects. I mean, it looks good for 1999. It looks good. It looks really good. And something I forgot to mention at the start of this video, I have taken movies that I love, but only if there's a lot of movie franchises where if I made a list of all of my favorite movies, all of the movies from the franchise would be in it, right? So I have forced myself to pick one movie from each franchise, but an example of a franchise would be like The Hunger Games. I've only picked one from The Hunger Games. Something I would not count as a franchise, which is what we're about to look at. It is, but it isn't, is the Cornetto trilogy, which is written and directed by the same guy, or the same guys, it's multiple people, I'm pretty sure, with the same actors, but they're not the same characters, and they're not the same stories. So I'm counting them as completely separate movies, which is maybe cheating, especially because every single movie from the Cornetto trilogy and also the other one are all on this list, but we're gonna go with it. I just really like these movies. So yes, number 6, which is kind of a horror movie but kind of not, is Shaun of the Dead, which was directed by Edgar Wright. Sequel Hot Fuzz. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Also, how have I managed to do that? Written down the wrong year for Shaun of the Dead. But yeah, no. It's not a sequel. Shaun of the Dead, directed by Edgar Wright. Shaun is a salesman whose life has no direction. However, his uneventful life takes a sudden turn when he has to single-handedly deal with an entire community of zombies. So, yeah, it's a horror movie kind of, but it's mainly a comedy. It's not scary. That's a lot of the horror movies that we just saw, they're not scary, they're just gory or have horror elements. But this doesn't even really have jump scares. But now I'm thinking, like, I've seen this movie a million times. Is it maybe that I've seen it so much that the jump scares don't scare me? I don't know. That's why I'm classing it in the horror section, but it's not really. This movie's just good. I don't know, I really admire Edgar Wright in terms of directing. He's really good. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are also pretty amazing. The three of them work together on a lot of projects, and I love all of them. They're all really good. They're mainly comedy. I will say every movie they've done is actually, let's not say that. Most of the movies they've done is mainly comedy. I would say Shaun of the Dead's just got a really good story as well, but it is very funny, and it's just got some really good scenes. I would would just recommend it. I wouldn't even take it as a horror movie, just be aware that there's gore and there's zombies, right? But I would class it more in the same vein as Zombieland, like mainly a comedy with just some horror elements. Next up we have Hot Fuzz. Okay, so Hot Fuzz. I hate cops, but this is a fictional movie, so I give it a pass, I guess. Normally cop movies make me really uncomfortable. I think that the reason this is different in my mind is because it's in a small town where there are like 6 police officers and like 30 people living in this town max. So it's different in my mind. It's not really, obviously. It's also set in England, which is still bad. Police brutality still happens, but it's not as bad as America. It's still really bad, but so that's the way I justify this movie. Because this is, I think, my second favorite movie of all time. It's definitely my favorite in the Cornetto trilogy. Couldn't really tell you why, I just really like it. It's charming, I guess. But yeah, it was directed by Edgar Wright again. Police officer Nicholas Angel is known to be the best across London. His seniors, who are jealous of his achievements, transfer him to a remote village where he encounters various challenges, which is an insane description for what this movie really is. It's so good. It becomes this big mystery of, how does the mystery even start? Oh yeah, somebody's going around killing everyone. And it's a big mystery as to why. Why are these people dying? Who's doing it? And it's really good because you would not in a million years guess the twist. And just the bromance between Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in this as well is absolutely insane. They were originally had a love interest in this movie. They removed her because she didn't really fit. So instead of cutting all of her scenes, they just gave all of her scenes to the other male lead. So then it became a real bromance. It's really funny. I love this movie so much. It's so charming. And the ending, not really the ending, the end, like, half, I'm not gonna spoil it. It involves Simon Pegg riding into town on a horse carrying a gun. It's really cool. It's really good. It's a really good movie. Yeah, great twists, great acting, a lot of great gags. I just recommend the Cornetto trilogy as a whole because they have running gags between them that are really funny. And to round out the Cornetto trilogy, we have The World's End, which is my least favorite of the trilogy, but I don't think I've given it a fair shot. When I watched it, I didn't really want to watch it. I watched it with my parents, and I wasn't interested in watching it. And I really didn't like it up until the ending, which made me sob. So I think if I rewatched it, I would like it a lot more than I do now. So I'm planning on rewatching it, but even now, not liking it as much as the other two, I still love this movie so much. So again, was directed by Edgar Wright. In an attempt to fulfill their epic pub crawl left incomplete 20 years ago, 5 friends return to their hometown. However, they are inadvertently burdened with the task of saving mankind. The cast for this movie is insane. So Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, the same characters that have been in every movie that I mentioned in the Cornetto trilogy. By the way, Cornetto trilogy comes from, there's an ice cream, I don't know if it's universal, but in England and Britain, or the UK or whatever, I said England and Britain, Ireland and the UK, there's an ice cream called Cornettos. I think they're universal, but I don't actually know. Yeah, Cornettos. In each of these 3 movies, at some point, the characters eat a cornetto. I think in one they eat vanilla, one they eat chocolate, and one they eat strawberry, I think. That's where the name comes from. But yeah, so we have Nick Frost and Simon opposite of the roles they normally play. Simon Pegg is usually the less loser of the two. He has his life together a bit more than the other one. In Shaun of the Dead, it's only a little bit more. In Hot Fuzz, he's a lot more put together. In this movie, it's the exact opposite. Nick Frost's character is the, very successful, his life's completely put together, versus Simon Pegg's character, who is kind of the loser who never really grew out of being a teenager, which is not a great way to describe who his character is, but that's on the surface, I guess. Then we have, I don't know how to say his name, Paddy Considine, I'm not sure. He is the father in House of the Dragon, the king, I guess, which I've never seen, but I know he's very famous now. Anyway, not when the movie came out. Then we have Martin Freeman, who is obviously the Hobbit in the Hobbit movies, but also Watson in the Sherlock TV show, and a lot of other things. He's very famous. Bill Nighy. I can't remember what Bill Nighy is in. Pierce Brosnan is in it. Bronson. Oh yeah, he's pretty famous too, isn't he? I think so. What is it? Pierce Brosnan. I can't say his name. Yeah, Bill Nighy, who is famous for, of course. Oh, I know him from being the Pirates of the Caribbean character. The one with the tentacles, I can't remember his name. And David Bradley, who was in Hot Fuzz as well, and he's amazing in Hot Fuzz. But he's, I think, most famous for being... God, what is his name? I can't remember his name. He's famous for being Walder Frey in Game of Thrones. And some more cameos, I think. But yeah, stacked cast. Just very good movie. I will have to rewatch it. It's a lot heavier. And I cried at one specific scene that I was not emotionally able to handle at the time because I was very drunk and was not expecting this movie that I didn't really like to hit me that hard with one single line. I was sobbing by the end of that movie, so I'll have to rewatch it. But even as is, I think it's really good. Just wanted to quickly say that since recording the last bit, I have rewatched the movie, and it's so much better the second time. I think I was not in the mood to watch it when I did watch it the first time. We were having a movie night, and I wanted to watch Hot Fuzz, but they put on The World's End, and you know when you just are so set on watching one thing, the next thing isn't great in comparison. But I just rewatched it, and yeah, first of all, I do just think generally it's better on a second viewing because you get all of the little hints, because these three movies are really insane with the amount of hints in all three. Well, in two definitely, probably in the third, but I haven't noticed it yet. In Shaun of the Dead and The World's End, they, at the start somewhere, talk about what they're going to do, and the way, or every single thing they say ends up happening, but in a different way. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. Yeah, the movie's really good. It's a lot funnier than I remember it being. It also made me cry again, because it is devastating, and also just got the little things that you pick up on now that you actually know the ending. And Gary King, the main character, he's a real dickhead, but on a rewatch, it's less bad. He's easier to love, I guess, because I mean, you know everything about him by the end, so on a rewatch, you already know why he does the things he does. It's just a very good movie. Pretty sad. Definitely the heaviest out of the three movies, I would say. But honestly, if I ranked them now, it might be The World's End, Hot Fuzz, then Shaun of the Dead. At the very least, I think The World's End is above Shaun of the Dead. I do love that movie to death, but I think The World's End is above it. Actually, I think like it's really, really good. Yeah, it maybe goes above Hot Fuzz. I will say, out of the two, I'm more inclined to rewatch The World's End over Hot Fuzz, so maybe it would go above just because of rewatchability, but I don't know. Just wanted to clarify that, yeah, on a rewatch, it's really good. I already knew it was good, but on a rewatch, this movie's brilliant. And then the next movie, not a part of the Cornetto trilogy, but made by Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. I think they wrote it, but I'm not actually sure. I'd have to look at it real quick. Produced by cinematography, distributed. Okay, it doesn't. Oh yeah, written by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. They wrote this. It is Paul. It's directed by Greg Mottola. I think, is that how you say that? Maybe. Two comic book buffs take a road trip to Area 51, where they run into an alien. With federal agents in pursuit, the two inept geeks must quickly find a way to return the alien to his spaceship. Also, insane cast: Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, Jason Bateman, Sigourney Weaver, Jesse Plemons, which I didn't realize he was in it. Gee, when is he in it? Bill Hader, Jane Lynch, Blythe Danner. I feel like I meant to know who that is, but I don't. Sorry. Is that it? I feel like I'm missing a few people, but that's even just that. It's absolutely insane. I didn't know Jesse Plemons was in this. I love Jesse Plemons. Anyway, yeah, just very good movie. It's just funny. That's the main thing. It's just really, really funny. I don't normally like movies like this, but this one I just think is, I don't know, movies like this are normally very, like, edgy, I guess, but in the way of, like, you're just straight up being racist or, like, homophobic. You're not being funny, you suck. But this one is not like that at all. Actually, I think there's a joke at some point about the alien being bisexual, but the joke isn't that he's bisexual, it's that they had said something or something, I can't remember, but it's just good. Anyway, it's just good. It's mainly a comedy. That's 90% of why I like this movie, but it's actually really emotional. It made me cry, so it's good. It's very funny. And at number 10, I think, we have Knives Out, which was directed by Ryan Johnson. I picked Knives Out over Glass Onion because I do prefer it just a little bit more. I do absolutely love how Glass Onion developed Benoit Blanc. I do love how they continued his story, fleshed him out more, but this one I prefer just a little bit more. So Harlan Thrombey, a reputable crime novelist, is found dead after his 85th birthday celebrations. However, as Detective Benoit Blanc investigates the case, it unravels a ploy of sinister intentions. It is so good. It's so good. The twist is really good, mainly because I had the movie spoiled for me before I watched it for the first time, because I wanted to learn how to do a good twist. And if you want to learn how to make a good twist, look at this movie, because it is insane. It's sort of, how do I explain this? It's a whodunit, but then it becomes a how did they get away with it? And then it becomes a whodunit again. It's really good, because I saw someone explain it as when you make a movie a certain genre, you're making a promise. You make it a murder mystery, you're promising that at some point the person who did this will be revealed. But then halfway through the movie, it's not a murder mystery anymore. We know who did it. We know why it happened. We know everything. We just want to know, how did they get out of it? So then it's kind of like a thriller. Or, I don't know how you would describe it, but it's not a murder mystery anymore. You have to, if you're promising a big reveal, you have to deliver on that, right? Because going into it, you're expecting this big reveal, and he still delivers, on a big reveal at the end. It's just really well done. It's one of the biggest movies of recent years, so I imagine you've already seen it. But if you haven't, go watch it. At number 11, we have The Suicide Squad, the second one, not the first one. The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. This is my favorite movie of all time. Perhaps controversial, I don't know that it did that great. I love this movie more than anything. It's genuinely my favorite movie of all time, by a long shot. There's nothing that even slightly comes close, and this is the movie that's the exception to there's a difference between what inspires me and what I actually enjoy. This is both. This is the movie that I watched and knew for a fact that one day I want to make something like this, and also it is my favorite movie. I can rewatch this a million times. In fact, I have, mainly when drunk, but a lot of times when sober as well. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was sober, so it's just such a good movie. I rewatched it like a few days ago, and it just, every time, it hits me so hard, because it's just, man, I don't even know what to say. It's just one, I don't know. I just love it so much. I mean, the opening, I think even the opening alone is the best opening to a movie I've ever seen. I'm gonna spoil the opening real quick. Actually, I should read the description first. So this is a sequel to Suicide Squad, which I watched and didn't care for, really. I didn't hate it, didn't love it, and have not seen since then, so it's probably not as bad as I remember, but I don't know. A government agent manipulates supervillains to become a part of a dangerous team in exchange for reduced sentences. They get sent to court in Maltese, where they must destroy a laboratory. Okay, I'm spoiling the opening. The opening, it opens up introducing us to the Suicide Squad. We have the Weasel, Boomerang, Harley Quinn, TDK, God, I thought for a second I could maybe remember everyone's names. We have a lot of people, actually maybe it's on the Wikipedia. Yeah, led by Rick Flag, obviously. Rick Flag, one of my favorite characters in the show. Okay, no, for some reason it doesn't say on the Wikipedia. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're pretty important characters to the opening of the movie. I think you could at least name them. Let me see, can I find them? Oh, Savant. Savant is there. Captain Boomerang, Mongol, Weasel, TDK, I already said that. Blackguard, Pete Davidson, Javelin, and I think that's it. So, we get introduced to them from the eyes of Savant. And they all fucking die within the first 5 minutes of the movie. First 10 minutes, it's really good. It's two really good music. Genuinely, the opening scene, the opening like 20 minutes is why I want to make movies. I want to make something like that. It's so good. Yeah, they kill off everyone except Rick Flag and Harley Quinn, and then reveal that they were not the main characters. It was actually these other guys, led by Idris Elba. So, can't complain about that. I like Pete Davidson, by the way. I'm just gonna put that out there. I like Pete Davidson. I don't know. I've seen him in quite a few movies recently, and he's been great in all of them. He's good in this one. He plays a complete and utter piece of shit, and it's great for every second he's on screen, which is not that long, but it's great while he's there. Yeah, if I sat down, I could talk about this movie forever. I won't, because I feel like out of every movie on this list, it's probably not the one people would have thought I would have picked as my favorite. So I'm not going to keep going on about it, because it is very violent. So if I said everything I loved about the movie, I'd probably get demonetized, so I don't know. Next on the list is actually another horror so if you want to skip to the timestamp on screen to skip past this one if you want to. I added this after recording the last 11, but number 12 is Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I wouldn't really say this is a horror movie. It's not scary, but I guess it's a horror movie. But yeah, Bodies, 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 directed by Helena Rain. Rajan. I'm really sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that. When a group of 20-somethings gets stuck at a remote mansion during a hurricane, a party game gone very, very wrong ends with a dead body on the ground and fake friends at every turn as they try to find the killer among them. It is so good. It's really, really funny. It's got a good cast as well. Pete Davidson is in it, which I think I've already said. I actually really like Pete Davidson. I do think he's like Dylan O'Brien in that they play one type of character ever, but they're really good at playing that one type of character. He's good in this movie and in most movies I've seen him in. But yeah, Pete Davidson, Amanda Stenberg, Lee Pace. I should say, by the way, as far as I'm aware, Pete Davidson hasn't done anything bad. As far as I'm aware. So obviously if it turns out he's an asshole, then yeah. But I mean that in like if he's done something bad, if he's just kind of mean, then so are a lot of people. Obviously not defending him if he is just really mean, but you know. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, it's just good. It's a horror movie. There's death and there's a little bit of gore, but I'll be honest, it's not really. It's more of like it's like on the level of Knives Out if Knives Out had a few more deaths. So it's not really a horror movie in my opinion, but it's very good. It's really, really funny. And I didn't realize until making this list that I think dark comedies are my favorite genre. Like Cabin in the Woods, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, At the World's End, or whatever it was called, Bodies, 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 a million other ones. I just like them. I don't know, they're fun. They have more depth to them than just a regular horror movie. Number 13 is Deadpool 2. Now, like I said earlier, when it came to franchises that were directly the same characters played by the same people, I would only pick one. This is maybe controversial that I prefer the second one over the first one, but not by a lot. Should clarify, they're almost identical in rating for me. Like it would be less than half a star in difference. I just think generally I prefer themes of parenthood over romance, which is why this one goes a little bit above the other one for me. I love Deadpool. I think my two favorite things looking at this list, dark comedies, which Deadpool is a dark comedy as well, dark comedies, and anti-heroes. I really like superhero movies that aren't actually superheroes, right? Because I always think I don't like superheroes, but I do, just as long as it's done like this, and like Suicide Squad, and like another one that we'll see later on. I'm probably not gonna be surprised at all when it shows up, but it's directed by David Leitch, something like that. Deadpool protects a young mutant Russell from the authorities and gets thrown in prison. However, he escapes and forms a team of mutants to prevent a time-traveling mercenary from killing Russell. This movie unironically made me cry. It's just good. And if I sat down to rewatch one, I'd probably pick 2 over 1. Which is why it went on the list rather than 1. Although 1 is fucking amazing as well. I do really like 1. But I don't know. I just also don't, how he becomes Deadpool, which we see in the first movie, we see how he becomes Deadpool. It makes me really uncomfortable. So, and I think I generally prefer the characters in the second one. I really like Domino. I like the other guy, I can't remember his name. I just like it a lot. I don't know when Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Deadpool and Wolverine, whatever. I don't know when Deadpool 3 comes out. I don't think it's anytime soon. But as of recording this, I haven't seen it. It's not out yet, because I don't know when this video goes up either, so maybe it'll be out by the time it goes up. Unless Deadpool 3 doesn't even have a date. 25th of July. So no, July 25th it releases in Ireland, so no, it's not going to be out by the time you watch this, unless this takes a month and a half to do. But yeah, I don't know, I like this movie. I'm excited for 3. I don't think it's going to be very good, to be honest. It's not going to be on par with 1 and 2, but I'm still hopeful because I liked 2, so I don't know. Number 14 is Do Revenge, which is directed by Jennifer Caton Robinson. Popular Drea wants revenge on her boyfriend for publishing her sex tape. An exchange student, Eleanor, is haunted by a rumor. The two teenagers team up to take action against their tormentors. This might just be because I'm Gen Z, right? So I'm like literally the exact demographic for this movie. I love every aspect of this movie so much. It is so fun. The whoever did the costuming, like, that is exactly how Gen Z would dress. It's all so good. All of the outfits are amazing. All of the dialogue's pretty good as well. I mean, I guess it helps that most of the actors or actresses, it's mainly women. Most of the actresses are Gen Z, I'm pretty sure. I think, unless these people are significantly older than I have in my mind. Actually, Sophie Turner's not old, but Maya Hawke's 25, which is Gen Z. Camila Mendes is 29 years old, which is not Gen Z, I'm pretty sure. And Sophie Turner is 28. 28. So, no, not really, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a good movie. It's misleading. It's on par with Mean Girls. In my mind, it's sort of, well, obviously it goes above Mean Girls in my mind because Mean Girls is not on this list. I just think because I think it's the Mean Girls of this generation, and I imagine when people watched Mean Girls at the time it came out, they probably thought, oh, they got the dressing, like the way people dress, really good. They got that down really well. So, and obviously, as someone from a generation above that, I don't like the way anyone in Mean Girls dresses. Versus this, I love how everyone dresses, and it'll probably be like by Gen Alpha watching it, they'll be like, oh, what the fuck, why do people dress like that? I just love this movie. It's misleading. It's got a twist in it that I did not guess, but my mom guessed within the first 5 minutes, so I don't know if that means it's good, or it's predictable or not, I don't know. Now, I could have put any Wes Anderson movie on this list, but I decided to go with Asteroid City, which I think might be his newest. I went with Asteroid City because I think it's his best, not his best movie, but it's one that encapsulates everything that I love about his other movies. The color palette for this movie is insane. It is gorgeous. I love blue and orange together, but the way he uses it in this movie, it is so good. And I will say I need to rewatch it sometime soon because I think some things went over my head. But from what I understand of the story and what I understood, it made me cry. It made me cry. And it's just good. It's good in the way Wes Anderson movies are. Well, it's directed by Wes Anderson. I don't think I said that, but it's just really good. World-changing events spectacularly disrupt the itinerary of Junior Stargazer / Space Cadet Convention in an American desert town circa 1955. It's sort of two stories at once. It's like it's two stories in one movie, but not really. Without spoiling it, yeah, two stories, but not really. And it's just it's just a very pleasing movie to watch. I don't think it's funny necessarily, but it's good. Like, that's all I can say. It's just good. It's a feel-good movie. I like the deadpan kind of acting by everyone. That's something I've always loved about Wes Anderson movies, is the acting is always ridiculous, and I love it. It fits so well. And just, yeah, the visuals, the way people speak, the way people act, it's all just really good, and the story is really good as well. I really enjoy it. Yeah, probably not his best movie, but I think my personal favorite. And next, number 16, Jojo Rabbit. Now, I think most people love this movie, but majority of people don't rewatch it, which I get. Obviously, I would understand why it wouldn't be a rewatchable movie for a lot of people, and it's just a good story. But it's directed by Taika Waititi, and it says Hitler Youth Cadet Jojo Betzler firmly believes in the ideals of Nazism manifested by his imaginary friend Adolf Hitler. However, his foundations are shaken when he finds a Jewish girl in his house. It's so much more than that, but it's really good. And also, just for anyone who has watched the movie, something I didn't notice until someone pointed it out, there is a character who is the captain, I guess, of the youth group. He was in the war, but he's blind in one eye, I think, so he's been essentially, like, demoted to running the cadet group, or like the youth group. And he and his right-hand man, they're kind of a little fruity throughout the whole movie. In the very end of the movie, because they're also, I should say, both sort of implied to be against the Nazis. Obviously, they're forced to be Nazis, but they are implied to put behind the scenes be helping Jews or Jewish people. But yeah, at the end of the movie, when they're going into battle, they go into battle wearing suits that they had been designing throughout the movie that are covered in pink upside down triangles, which I didn't even notice until someone pointed it out to me. So then the ending of the movie is another step into devastating. It's already really, really sad, but there we go. There's another really sad little fact dropped onto you. It's just a good movie. I do understand a lot of people seeing it as a one-time watch. To be fair, I've only seen it like 3 times, but I think mainly it's because Taika Waititi, I don't like him as a person. Obviously he's a Zionist, but I do, it's sort of hit or miss whether or not I love his directing style. Jojo Rabbit, I think, was very much a hit, and I really enjoy the way he directs movies, sometimes. And I like this one. I really like this one. I admire it a lot. And it's not that I would necessarily want to make a movie like this one, because I'm pretty sure Taika Waititi's Jewish. So I think that obviously it would be in his interest. I think that's really funny. One of the first things that comes up when you type his name is Hitler. Yeah, he's Maori and Jewish. So obviously I wouldn't want to make a film like this because I'm not Jewish, and I don't think I'm very educated enough to make a movie about it, but the style of directing in this movie I love, and the writing and everything that happens in it, it's really good, and I would love to make a movie sort of in that style, I guess. I just really admire it. And obviously it's devastating to watch, but I feel like there are some movies that you rewatch because they're devastating, right? It's not like you have fun watching this. It's sad from start to finish, essentially, but it's good. It's a really good movie. And as much as I don't like Taika Waititi as a person, I very much appreciate the fact that Hitler is played by Taika Waititi, who is a Maori and Jewish man, which is just absolutely hilarious. That's something he said, I think, in an interview. He wanted to make something that Hitler wouldn't like. if Hitler watched this movie, he'd be mad at how he's portrayed. And that's what he said he wanted to do, because most documentaries or movies about Nazis, they paint them in a light that Hitler would enjoy. If he saw how he's generally portrayed in movies, he would enjoy it. Taika Waititi wanted to do something that makes fun of him, while still obviously showing how serious everything was, but makes fun of him, points out how insane a lot of it was, makes him look like an idiot, because it's not actually Hitler in the movie, it's the kid's imaginary friend who looks like Hitler and acts like Hitler, but it's not really. So I guess you get a little leeway on how he acts, but obviously he was just a fucking, well, I don't know. He was insane in real life too, but it's just a very good movie. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's a very good movie. Now, number 17. This might be controversial, but the live-action Alice in Wonderland. Now, I do not like Alice in Wonderland a normal amount. It's kind of insane how much I love Alice in Wonderland. I'm not normal about it. It kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just not normal. I even like the second movie. I know it's not good. This one I do believe is a good movie, but the second one I understand is not. But I still love both movies, but this one obviously is significantly better. So it's directed by Tim Burton, and Alice, now 19 years old, follows a rabbit in a blue coat to a magical wonderland from her dreams, where she is reunited with her friends who make her realize her true destiny. It is very much one of the first ever live-action remakes, but make it edgy kind of style, but I actually think they did it well here, because it's not a remake, it's a sequel. The original Alice in Wonderland movie was when she was a kid. This one is set when she is 19, and she just thinks all of that time in Wonderland was a dream. And it's just really good. I really love it. I think I'm biased because I love anything Alice in Wonderland, but I also really like the live action aspects. That's my main problem, is that I'm actually all for the idea of live action movies. They've just never done very many good ones. Most of them are bad. And I enjoy the fact that this is not a remake. A lot of stuff happens in this movie. The ending is really cool. The ending fight, I mean specifically, while she's still in Wonderland, it's really cool. And it's not just a direct remake, it's a sequel, and it's good, I think. And I like all of the things that are new. There's a lot of parts of this movie that are exclusive to this movie. Well, I imagine they were in the books as well. Or maybe they made it up, I don't know. But also the casting is pretty good. Pretty good is probably not a great way to describe it. The casting's great. I do not like Johnny Depp as a person. As an actor, I think he's very good. In a lot of things, but especially this movie. So Johnny Depp plays the Hatter, the Mad Hatter. Helena Bonham Carter is the Red Queen. Anne Hathaway is the White Queen. Alan Rickman is the Caterpillar. Absalom, I think is how you say his name. And Michael Sheen is the White Rabbit. Yeah, is that it? I think that's it of the ones that I know. Stephen Fry is the Cheshire Cat. Oh, Christopher Lee is the Jabberwocky. The Jabberwock. Is that how you say it? Why did I think it was the Jabberwocky? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, just a good cast. I don't know, they're all really good actors. Just a good movie. I know a lot of people don't agree. I was talking with my dad recently about how much I love the live action, and then I was like, it didn't do great, but I think it was good. And I asked my mom, did you think it was good? And she said, no, it was shit. It's like, oh, okay. Actually, so maybe it is really bad, I don't know. But I personally love this movie. It's a very comfort watch for me. I just enjoy it a lot, I don't know. Next on the list, number 18, is Game Night, directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. When Max and Annie play a harmless murder mystery game with Max's brother Brooks and some friends, things begin to take surprising twists and turns, as not all is what it seems to be. This is a good movie. It's hilarious. It's really, really funny. It's a comedy. I think it's on the verge of being a dark comedy. A lot of the comedic bits are dark, I guess, so maybe it is just like a dark comedy, but it's good, and the cast is pretty good as well. Jason Bateman is the main character, which I think we've already seen him on the list somewhere. Rachel McAdams, who is Regina George from the original Mean Girls. Jesse Plemons, also been on this list already. I love Jesse Plemons. Him and his wife, Kirsten Dunst, is that his wife? Yeah, Kirsten Dunst. I love them both so much because my favorite season of Fargo is season 2, which is the one with Jesse Plemons and Kirsten Dunst, which is actually how they fell in love, which is really sweet. But yeah, I love him, obviously. And I don't actually think I know any of the other actors in this movie, except there is one guy who I know. He's not on this list for some reason, but the guy who comes to, he's a part of the murder mystery. He comes to tell them the rules of, like, your friend has been kidnapped, do this, blah 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 blah. That he's played by the guy from the Hunger Games, Beatty. You know, Wires and Beatty. I can't really pronounce his name, I'm sorry. But he's him, which is pretty cool, pretty random. And the next is another movie with an absolutely insane cast. We're the Millers. I will say, every time I look up these movies to get the description, I keep noticing how bad the Rotten Tomatoes scores are. The rest are always really good, but Rotten Tomatoes, people just really don't like these movies. Anyway, I love this movie so much. It's not my type of humor normally, but I think what gets me is if it's a comedy like this, but it's wholesome in some way. That's why I like Paul. Paul is this kind of humor that I don't typically like, but it's sweet, it's wholesome. Well, wholesome is maybe not the word to describe either movie, but you get it. It's kind of comforting. I won't spoil either movie, but there's stuff about it that's just nice. It's nice, it's sweet, it's enjoyable. It's like feel good, and I really enjoy it. So it's directed by Ross and Marshall Thurber. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. David, a drug dealer, plans to go to Mexico to pick up a shipment of marijuana. He hires a stripper, Rose, and 2 teenagers to pose as his family and cross the border without arousing suspicion. You probably, even if you've never heard of this movie, you've definitely seen the meme of Will Poulter saying, "Wait, you guys were being paid." It's this scene of, I don't know, the drug dealer, David, says something of like, "I'm being paid this much," and then it's like, "Hang on, you're being paid that much, and you're only giving me this much," and then it's, "Wait, you're getting that much, I'm only getting this much," and then Will Poulter's, "Wait, you guys are getting paid." That's what this meme is from. That's what that meme is from, sorry. It's from this movie, and this movie is genuinely great. The ending is really, really sweet. It's wholesome, I like it. And the cast is once again absolutely insane, okay? Jennifer Aniston, Will Poulter, Jason Sudeikis, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I also don't know what he's from, but Emma Roberts, Nick Offerman, Catherine Hahn, which I don't actually know where she's from. Where do I know you from? I don't know. She's in something I've seen before. She's very famous too. it's a really insane cast. It's just like one or two people. But it is kind of insane. Jennifer Aniston, Will Poulter, Emma Roberts, Nick Offerman. I don't actually know who this guy is. Oh. Like, I don't know who this guy is. He is Ted Lasso. So yes, I do know who this guy is. He is Ted Lasso. I wonder, do my parents know that? I don't watch Ted Lasso, but they do, and they love this movie. Remember to tell them. But yeah, this movie's just good. It's got a very wholesome ending. It's obviously not wholesome, as you heard drug dealers and strippers and a lot of other stuff. But the ending is wholesome, and I like the story. I like the characters. I think it's cute. So number 19, I think. No. Number 20 is Murder on the Orient Express. Now, Murder on the Orient Express. I really like this movie. I don't love it, but I like it enough to be on this list. Hated Death on the Nile, mainly because Gal Gadot is in it, but also it just wasn't very good. A Haunting in Venice was strange. It's been months since I've seen it. Couldn't tell you if I liked it or not. I really, really couldn't. I did and I didn't. But Murder on the Orient Express, I do really enjoy this movie. I like mainly the camera work, to be entirely honest. I really like the shots that are in this movie. I like the twist. I like the actors. Again, pretty stacked cast once again. Judi Dench, Johnny Depp, Daisy Ridley, Josh Gad, Tom Bateman, Willem Dafoe, Leslie Odom Jr., who is, I believe, the, original Aaron Burr from Hamilton. I feel like there's more people, but I don't remember. But yeah, ultimately, this movie's just really good. So it's directed by Kenneth Branagh. I'm sorry, I don't know. After the Orient Express gets derailed by an avalanche. I don't think I've ever said that word out loud, ever. Avalanche. Edward Ratchet is found dead with multiple stab wounds. Detective Hercule Poirot must solve the case before the killer strikes again. The twist on this movie, I will admit, I never in a million years saw coming, but once again, my mom guessed within a few seconds. A few minutes, not a few seconds. But I liked it. I don't know. I don't honestly have much to say about this movie. I just thought it was good. I just want to quickly say, since making this video, I have rewatched Lord of the Rings movies, which I'd seen them once, and that was years ago, when I was like really young, so I didn't really remember them. Now, having rewatched them, I think I would have put the first Lord of the Rings movie on this list, and I think I probably would have put it on the list instead of Murder on the Orient Express. So I think that's the actual standing, would be Lord of the Rings at 20. I mean, it's not ranked, but it would be in place of Murder on the Orient Express, I think, is what it would knock out. Yeah. I don't have much to say about the Lord of the Rings that hasn't already been said like a million times. It was just good. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. This is why I said at the start that I'm aware some of these movies are bad. However, I can acknowledge that most people think they're bad, but I can still stand by the fact that I do not and will not ever believe these movies are bad. You could never convince me in a million years. And it's, of course, the Hobbit trilogy. For a very, very long time. They came out in 2012. I watched them, I think, 2013. I was really young. Actually, how young was I? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was 10. I was 10 when I watched these movies. I love them so much for a very long time. They were my favorite movie. In fact, for almost 10 years, they were my favorite movie. Until I watched The Suicide Squad. And I love all three of these movies. Obviously, I get the third movie is unnecessary, but once again, I don't care. I do agree that usually, like with the Hunger Games, when they split Mockingjay into part 1 and part 2, bad idea. It didn't add anything. It was bad. It wasn't good. This one, for the Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, I enjoy it, so I don't care that it was unnecessary. I love that movie a lot. I love the second one and I love the first one. I chose the first one because if I could only watch one of them for the rest of my life, I would pick the first one. Because it's got everything, right? This movie's like over 10 years old at this point, so I'm going to spoil vaguely. It's got the introduction to Bilbo, the introduction to the dwarves, with the whole song and the dinner and everything. Then it's got the trolls, then it's Rivendell, the big giants, the mountain giants, whatever, then Goblin Town, then the orcs, the pale orc, then the eagles, and then the hug on the Carreg, I think, Carrog, I've never said that word in my life. The thing that the eagles live on, the big climactic, oh actually you're not that bad kind of scene. I just love this movie so much, and like I've seen people say, the CGI is really bad, blah 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 blah. I honestly don't really see the CGI being bad. I do get it because it doesn't look bad to me. It's that everything looks fake, which makes sense because everything is fake. Like I think Ian McKellen is the only one who's not CGI'd in some way. Everyone else is because they either needed to be really tall to be an elf or really short to be a dwarf or a hobbit, so I think it's less that everything looks fake and more that everything kind of has a blur to it, or a shine, in a movie when it's a dream and it's kind of fuzzy around the edges. Everything looks like that, which I actually like, which might just be me coping, but I don't care. Yet you could never convince me these movies are bad, and I'm not sorry about it. I was gonna say I'm sorry about it. I'm fucking not. I love these movies so much. You could never convince me they're bad. I rewatch them every year, and I don't care what your opinion is. Anyway, obviously directed by Peter Jackson, Bilbo Baggins, a hobbit, finds himself accompanying a group of dwarves and a wizard on their journey to reclaim the kingdom of Erebor from the clutches of Smaug, an evil dragon. I love this movie. I don't care if you liked it or if you hated it. I loved it. And I will just really quickly mention now, none of the Lord of the Rings movies are on this list, but only because I saw them once and then have never had the time to rewatch them again. I am maybe doing a rewatch at some point. Maybe. Like an actual official rewatching them in a cinema. I don't know if my parents buy the tickets, to be completely honest, because I'm not going by myself. And they were the ones who suggested it, so I don't know. Or I will actually just do a rewatch if we don't end up going to the official thing. And then obviously I'm sure my opinions will change because I do love the Lord of the Rings. From what little I remember, I love them. I really do, and I admire a lot of what, I think it was Peter Jackson again. I admire his filmmaking in those movies, especially his quote, which I will never forget. When making the scenes that are at nighttime, he made them really bright. They're obviously still nighttime, but it kind of looks like you can see everything, essentially. It kind of looks like when you're at like a football pitch and the floodlights come on. Very clearly nighttime, but bright enough that you can see everything. And someone asked him, where's the lighting coming from? And he said, the same place as the music. Yeah, I fucking despise the death of lighting in movies more than anything. I really do. So a always be grateful that he, at the very least, gets it. Because if you make your night scenes so dark that I can't see anything, I'm never rewatching your movie ever. I'm sorry, I just won't. Although saying that, obviously some of these are probably exactly that. Anyway, number 22. Oh my god, another Rotten Tomatoes. Love that. God, why does it keep happening? Anyway, so number 22 is Pirates of the Caribbean, or Caribbean. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'll go Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite of the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, I'm only going to count the 3, because they're my favorites. I'd pick the 3rd one. I really do love this movie a lot. I love the opening to this movie so much. I love it. I will say I'm starting to get a little grossed out by how many movies Johnny Depp is in that I love, but it's never because he's in it. Although, I don't think anyone else could have ever played Captain Jack Sparrow, unfortunately. So, I don't know. But, it's directed by Gore Verbinski. Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann team up with Barbossa to rescue Jack Sparrow from the clutches of Davy Jones. The Flying Dutchman's ghost ship is all set to create trouble on the 7 seas. I love this movie. I love this movie. It's so good. I love the opening. I love the ending. I love everything that happens in it. Hot take. Probably really controversial. My favorite character in the whole series is Commodore Norrington. Sorry. Oh my god, the music is by Hans Zimmer. Yeah, no wonder it's fucking amazing. Oh, there he is. I just was looking for Commodore. It's James Norrington. Yeah, he's my favorite character, and I'm not gonna apologize for it. I don't care. He's my favorite character, and I really liked him in this movie. That's all I have to say about that. He's really good in this movie, I don't know. Yeah, I just like him. So sorry, I just like him. Number 23, almost done. Number 23 is the newest movie on this whole series. In this whole video. Not even a month old when I am recording this. Came out May 2nd. Watched it 3 days ago. Fall Guy. It's still in theaters. I didn't even realize it is still in theaters. Fall Guy. Okay, it's that guy again, David Leitch. What did he do? Deadpool 2. Bullet Train. He did Bullet Train. I actually completely forgot about that movie. That probably would have been in my top 25. I just forgot it existed. Anyway. Sorry. Yeah, I completely forgot that movie existed because it's going in honorable mentions. Yeah, Fall Guy. So directed by David Leitch. I'm not sure. After leaving the business 1 year earlier, battle-scared stuntman Colt Seifers springs back into action when the star of a big studio movie suddenly disappears. As the mystery surrounding the missing actor deepens, Colt soon finds himself ensnared in a sinister plot that pushes him to the edge of a fall more dangerous than any stunt. This movie is fucking amazing. I was blown away by how much I loved this movie. I will admit, I was very drunk when I watched it, but it was really good. It's marketed as a rom-com, which, well, I don't know about rom-com, it's romance. Yeah, I think it's romance. It's so much more than a romance. Oh my god. I love when you accidentally find little connections. One of the actresses was the original actress for Christine Canigula in Be More Chill. Anyway, don't know, I just recognized her name. She's in Everything Everywhere All at Once as well, I think. Let me double check that. Yeah. She's the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is also a great movie. Didn't make my top 25, but it's a good movie. Yeah, it's a romance, but it's so much more than that. I hate romances, which I don't think any movie in this list is a romance movie. I hate romance movies, and right now I'm really not into them, to the point where they kind of make me feel sick right now. But oh my god, this movie was so good. Every part of it, it's, the romance is amazing. The stunts are great, and I really admire the fact that this is like a love letter to stunt performers. It's just so good. It's such a good movie. I would highly recommend watching this. I really, really would. It's Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. Like, what more could you possibly want? It's so good. Go watch it. I'm not even gonna say anything else because it's only just come out. Go watch it. If you can, watch it in theaters. I wish I could have. I mean, I still could, but I'm not going to. But I wish I had seen it for the first time in theaters. That's what I'm trying to say. Our last two movies before we get into the honorable mentions are both actually from 2023, which is cool. So number 24, sorry. Number 24 is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I watched this last year, and god, it's so good. Oh my god, hang on. I'm now starting to realize that I like a lot of, that makes sense. This movie was directed by the exact same two guys who directed Game Night. That's really funny. I'm finding so many movies are the same directors. Anyway, yeah, directed by John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein. A charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers embark on an epic quest to retrieve a long-lost relic, but their charming adventure goes dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. If you've somehow still not seen this movie, go watch it. It's so good. It's really, really good. I was amazed at how good it is, because I don't really like most, like, it's a game adapted into a movie. I normally hate that kind of stuff. This is really well done. It's amazing. Yeah, the entire story is amazing. It's enjoyable whether you like D&D or not. But if you do like D&D and you get to see all of the little things, like how they cleverly use certain spells and stuff, and the fact that they're so creative in how they solve different situations they're in, it's so good. It's so good. I'd highly recommend it, whether you like D&D or not. But if you like D&D and you still haven't seen this movie, go watch it. What are you doing? It's so good. It's such a good movie. And number 25, which is not, because I like this the least. Remember, this was not in order. Number 25 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Another movie with Will Poulter in it. Oh, okay. That's really funny. I like Will Poulter. He's in The Maze Runner as well, and I actually like him in The Maze Runner. But anyway, this movie, I don't like Chris Pratt. These movies made me like him. Anyway, so, I will say, if you haven't seen the other two Guardians of the Galaxies, and if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, this description spoils a little bit of it. So, just warning there. So, directed by James Gunn, of course, my favorite director of all time. He did all of the Guardians of the Galaxies. He did Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, and the Scooby-Doo live-action movies. What a stacked amount. Like, that's insane. I really admire James Gunn. As a director, I don't know if he's a good person. I hope he is. That would would be nice if I could finally admire a director who doesn't turn out to be a piece of shit. Anyway, directed by James Gunn. Yeah, so spoilers for the other movies or whatever. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill must rally his team to defend the universe and protect one of their own. If the mission is not completely successful, it could possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. So, we knew going into it that this would be the final movie, because it was going to be a trilogy, or at least the final movie by him, but honestly, by him with all of these same actors. So hopefully, the final movie, it's so good. I put off watching it for a very long time because of some of the stuff that I knew happened in it. And then I watched it anyway, and it's just such a feel-good movie. It really is. I saw someone put it perfectly that this was the last movie, so the stakes were high in that they could kill off anyone and it wouldn't matter. And the way they took that into account was really nice. I really liked the way they did. I'll explain this without spoiling anything. I like the way they subverted expectations. I like the way they went about it. I really like this movie. It's really sweet, and the Guardians of the Galaxy movies are one of the only times that I feel a movie earns the final song with a dance ending. It's just such a good movie. It really is. It made me cry a lot, but it's a really good send-off to the series. And I put it as my number one out of the 3 movies. I love Volume 1. I really like Volume 2. But Volume 3, just something about it. It makes me so happy that I like this movie more than the other 2 because I loved the other 2. Yeah, it's just really good. Just a really good movie. Really feel good, happy movie. I mean, it's not happy. I should clarify, it's not really happy for the majority of it. But it's a good movie. It's a really good ending to the trilogy. A really great send-off to these characters. As long as this is the final time we see at least most of these characters. I think there are some hints that we could possibly see Groot and Rocket again. But I hope this is the end for Star-Lord and Gamora and Nebula and everyone else. I hope this is the end for them because I think this was the perfect way to send off those characters. It really was. Yeah, I just loved this movie. And now on to 6 honorable mentions. There was only 5. Then I remembered Bullet Train exists, so now there's 6. So I guess we'll go Bullet Train first. I'm not going to talk too much about any of these because they're only meant to be little things. But yeah, Bullet Train by David Leitch again. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 50%, which is fucking insane. This movie's amazing. Ladybug, a professional assassin, is assigned to retrieve a briefcase from a bullet train. Soon he finds himself battling many other killers who board the same train but with a different objective. Very good movie. Highly recommend it. Really, really good. Next is What We Do in the Shadows from 2014. Which, yeah, probably a strange random pick, but directed by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement, which inspired the TV show of the same name. Viago, Vladislav, Deacon, and Peter are vampires who share a flat. Deacon's servant Jackie leaves her ex-boyfriend Nick inside. Peter turns him into a vampire, and he soon joins them as a flatmate. This movie is really good. It's boring, I will say. I really just think you have to watch it, and if you loved it, you loved it, and if you didn't, you didn't, because there is no way that I could explain it to you that would make you want to watch it. It's very much like it's for a specific demographic. I will say, it's got Taika Waititi, Rhys Darby, and Can't remember her name, but she's also from Her Flag Means Death. If I could get her name. I say that she's not from Her Flag Means Death. She's in season 2 of Her Flag Means Death. But yeah, just a good movie. And if you've seen the TV show, a few of the characters appear in the TV show as a cameo, which I love. Yeah, just a pretty good movie. It's a feel-good kind of comfort movie. It's a mockumentary. Yeah, it's a mockumentary, so if you don't like mockumentaries, you're probably not gonna like this. But it's good. It's relatively boring, but that's what I like about it. So, just, know that. Another honorable mention is Fargo. So it was directed by Joel Coen. Oh, Coen brothers. Joel Coen. Jerry, a sales manager who must repay a loan, uses 2 henchmen to kidnap his wife so that he can demand a ransom from his rich father-in-law, but the plot's clumsy execution leads to trouble for him. So once again, this inspired the TV show by the same name. This movie is really good. I would highly recommend it, especially if you like the TV show. It's very good. Don't have a lot to say about it. It's just good. It's just really good. It's fun. The next honorable mention is Snowpiercer, which was actually directed by the same guy who directed both Parasite and The Host. Parasite is not, you know what, I won't spoil. Anyway, Bong Joon-ho directed it. In a post-apocalyptic ice age, only a few survivors of the human race are left on board a train traveling the globe. Curtis leads a group of people wanting to control the engine and the future. It's very good. Apparently there's a TV show of the same name. I haven't seen the TV show, so I can't say whether or not that's good. But this movie is unintentionally very funny. There's one scene that I was dying laughing at, which I don't think I was meant to find funny, but I really, really did. Just a good movie. It's very much a social commentary movie, so, it's not like all fun and games, but it's a good movie. The next honorable mention is Cloverfield, directed by Matt Reeves. After a giant monster attacks New York City, Rob, Hud, Lily, and Merlina form a group and desperately try to rescue their friend Beth, who's trapped in her apartment. It's a found footage horror, I think. Technically. Actually, yeah, definitely horror. I think it's scary. This was T.J. Miller's film debut. Okay. I guess 2008. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't like T.J. Miller. Should clarify, I fucking hate T.J. Miller. But he is good in this movie. It's a found footage horror movie. It's just really good. I don't know, it's just a really good found footage movie. I think it's the only one I've ever seen. So maybe I'm biased and maybe it's actually not great in terms of the genre, but I think it's good. And the final honorable mention is The Host, which is the one that's directed by Bong Joon-ho. The one who directed Parasite and also Snowpiercer and this movie, which I like this movie a lot. So an unidentified monster appears from the Han River in Seoul, kills hundreds, and also carries off Hyun-soo. When her family learns that she is being held captive, they resolve to save her. So this one's a Korean film. It's all in Korean, so I would recommend subtitles. Subs, not dubs. It's just good. I don't know what else to say. It's just pretty good movie. I will say it's a little slow around the middle, but I actually really like the slow parts. I honestly really like the slow parts. I think it's a fun movie. It's a fun, I don't know that I'd say it's a comfort movie, but it's certainly a good movie. Don't know that it's comforting, because it's not really, but it's a good movie. I really like it. And that, I think, is going to be the last honorable mention. I had to cut the honorable mentions down by 5 movies to get it down to 5. And then obviously I remembered Bullet Train exists. I sat on it, the more I remembered a lot of TV shows I've seen. So if you want a video like this but about TV shows, I could do that. Or if you want more videos like this about, like, maybe I talk about a specific movie and maybe I spoil it and review it or something. You want something like that, I can do that too. I'd honestly love to do that. In terms of YouTube videos that I would love to make just for fun, movie reviews have always been something I'd love to do. So if you're in any way interested in something like that, or a TV show review, I would absolutely love to do it, and I'll probably do it anyway, to be honest. But that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next one.